Lewis Hamilton has faced many challenges throughout his Formula One career, racing under pressure, driving in unpredictable weather, fighting fierce rivalries, but what he is experiencing right now with Ferrari's SF25 is something entirely different. This is not just another slow start to a new season or a few unfortunate results. The truth behind Hamilton's performance at Ferrari is much deeper, more complex, and frankly, more alarming than what most people can see on the surface. It's not just about race results anymore. It's not just about being slower than his teammate. It's about what the telemetry data is revealing, and it has left Ferrari completely stunned. The engineers at Maranello have been digging into the data since the start of the season, trying to make sense of why a 7-time world champion, one of the greatest drivers in history, is struggling to connect with the car. What they found is a story written not in words or interviews, but in numbers. Every trace, every lap, every piece of telemetry tells a story that has shocked even the most experienced minds inside Ferrari. From the very first Grand Prix, it became clear that Hamilton was not comfortable in the SF25. The car was not behaving the way he needed it to, especially when it came to low-speed corners. Lap after lap, the data consistently shows that Hamilton is losing time in the same areas. On corner entry, he's slower. In the middle of the corner, he doesn't have enough grip. And when it comes time to get back on the throttle, there's a delay, a hesitation that didn't exist during his Mercedes days. It's not a question of effort or determination, it's about instinct, and Hamilton's instincts, developed over years of racing in a completely different car, are now clashing with the unpredictable and unstable behavior of the SF25. Ferrari had big hopes when they signed Hamilton. The plan was clear: bring in one of the sport's legends, combine his experience with Ferrari's resources and go after the world championship. But so far, that dream has turned into something of a nightmare. After 5 races, Hamilton hasn't finished ahead of his teammate Charles Leclerc in a single full-length race. Not once. The headlines may still be focused on the rivalry, the pressure, or the public statements, but behind closed doors, inside the simulator rooms and strategy meetings, the concern is real and growing. Telemetry data shows clear discrepancies between Hamilton and Leclerc's performances. Even when running similar setups, Hamilton appears to be losing confidence during key parts of the lap. He's braking earlier, not carrying as much speed into corners, and waiting longer to apply the throttle on exit. These small differences add up over a lap, and over the course of a race weekend they become massive gaps. The engineers can see it, the strategists can't ignore it, and even Hamilton himself has acknowledged it in recent interviews. He referred to the SF25 as alien, describing the car as something completely unfamiliar, almost like it speaks a language he doesn't understand. That's not something you'd expect from someone with Hamilton's experience. It's a sign that there's a serious disconnect between driver and machine. And for a team like Ferrari, which has invested everything into this partnership, that's a huge concern. During the Chinese Grand Prix weekend, there was a moment of hope. Hamilton won the sprint race, showing flashes of the speed and skill that once made him unbeatable. But even that performance is now being described as an outlier, one perfect moment in ideal conditions rather than a sign that the problems have been solved. Since then, it's been back to the same story. More struggles, more confusion, and more data pointing to the same conclusions. David Coulthard, a respected voice in Formula One, recently said, "This continues to be an underperforming Lewis Hamilton." And that comment wasn't made in anger or criticism, it was based on facts. Coulthard explained that the data speaks for itself. Hamilton is slower than Leclerc in critical sectors. He's braking earlier, turning in later, and showing signs that he's still trying to find the limit of a car that simply doesn't behave the way he needs it to. And the deeper Ferrari digs into the numbers, the clearer the picture becomes. It's not a lack of motivation. It's not a drop in talent. It's a fundamental mismatch between Hamilton's driving style, shaped over more than a decade at Mercedes, and the way the SF25 needs to be driven to perform at its best. The car is sharp, nervous, and requires a very specific approach that Leclerc seems to have figured out. Hamilton, on the other hand, is still adapting, and the process is taking longer than anyone expected. Billy Monger, another respected voice in motorsport, put it simply, Lewis has been despondent with the situation, and it's easy to see why. Every time Hamilton gets out of the car and looks at the data, he's being reminded, brutally, that he's not there yet, that the car is still a mystery, that every lap is a fight, not just against the competition, but against the machine itself. And now Ferrari faces a very difficult decision, because the data is also revealing something else, something that could create serious problems for the rest of the season. The development path of the SF25 is being pulled in two different directions. On one side, you have Leclerc, who is getting results and providing feedback that leads to performance gains. On the other, you have Hamilton, whose feedback points to a need for changes that could slow the car down for Leclerc. It's a classic Formula One dilemma. Do you follow the driver who is faster and keep developing the car in that direction? Or do you try to meet the needs of both drivers, risking a situation where the car ends up pleasing no one? This is the challenge Ferrari didn't expect to face. When they signed Hamilton, they believed his experience and speed would immediately lift the team. Instead, they now find themselves trying to balance two very different driving styles, with a car that only seems to respond to one of them. And in Formula One, where every race counts and every upgrade matters, that's a dangerous position to be in. Meanwhile, Hamilton is not giving up. He's made it clear in public statements that he's committed to solving the issues. "I'm not quitting. We're going to get there," he said. And Ferrari's team boss Fred Vasseur has stood by him, insisting that the potential is still there and that time will help bridge the gap. But time is a luxury that doesn't exist in this sport. The season is moving quickly. The pressure is building. And every race where Hamilton struggles is another missed opportunity, another week where the doubts grow louder. As the calendar moves towards Miami and beyond, the spotlight is only going to get brighter. Every data trace will be examined, every qualifying lap will be compared, every interview will be analyzed, and through it all, the question will remain: can Hamilton find his way back? Can he close the gap to Leclerc? Can he learn the SF25 in time to make a difference in this championship? Because if the struggles continue, if the data keeps showing the same trends, then the conversation will start to shift. People will begin to ask whether Hamilton is truly the right fit for Ferrari, whether this partnership, as exciting as it seemed on paper, was simply a case of bad timing. A great driver in a car that doesn't suit him, a legendary career potentially ending in frustration rather than glory. It's a tough question, but it's one that's starting to be asked quietly in the paddock. Is this just a rough start, or is it the beginning of a deeper, more permanent problem? Is it possible that the SF25 is just not the car for Hamilton, and that no amount of adaptation will be enough? There are no easy answers. Hamilton has been through tough times before, and he's always come back stronger. But this situation is different. It's technical, mechanical, and deeply rooted in the design of the car. It's not something that can be fixed overnight with more laps or more simulator time. It might take major setup changes. It might take a different approach to car development. And it might even take some bold decisions from Ferrari's leadership. In the coming races, we'll learn a lot. If Hamilton starts to close the gap, if the telemetry begins to show improvements, then the story could change. The pressure could ease, the hope could return. But if not, if the same issues appear in Miami and then again in